right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
A local director brings Hollywood to St. Charles.
The Muni is like one of my favorite theaters in the world, so I'm excited to be really close to that.
How Missouri's new legislation to lure back filmmakers is taking shape.
Temperatures this afternoon reached 90 degrees again. It's the third straight day of 90 plus. Why that continues and when we may reach 100.
The poor man was just trying to alert everybody.
A Manchester resident is shot at trying to alert neighbors of a crime in progress. But it didn't stop suspects from breaking into more than a half dozen cars. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Jackson. Right now, police are still looking for those 4 suspects who broke into cars overnight at the Country Stone Manor condominiums. 5 on Your Side's Robert Townsend went to the neighborhood today. He joins us from the newsroom with the latest.
Kelly, tonight police at that Manchester condominium complex are still trying to figure this out. People there are breathing a big sigh of relief. They're glad their neighbor who was shot at is okay. Meantime, again, police are still looking for the mask-wearing guys who were breaking into cars. For several years, Georgia McGinty and her neighbors have enjoyed living at Country Stone Manor condominiums in Manchester. They say it's typically a peaceful place.
I moved out here because I thought it was safer.
This is a wonderful location. It feels like a little village.
In the thick of the night around 3 a.m. Friday, criminals disturbed their peace. A resident here told police he saw 4 mask-wearing young guys, possibly teenagers, breaking into cars parked on the lot. When the man confronted the culprits, they hopped in a vehicle. Moments later, the resident said the driver accelerated towards him, which forced him to jump out of the way.
They had ski mask on, and he yelled at him to get away.
Police say before the car sped away, one of the guys leaned out a window and fired shots at the resident.
He's fine. They said he was grazed. It's scary.
My God. I mean, the poor man was just trying to alert everybody.
Police say the bandits broke into 9 cars at the complex. They also believe the same group is responsible for other car break-ins in nearby cities. Meantime, people here are now on alert.
I always look around.
And relieved their neighbor is still with them.
He's got a good guardian angel. He really does.
A business owner told me his security cameras caught some of the chaos and crime on video. Now, he also shared that with police. Meantime, Manchester police say if you know anything about the shooting or the car break-ins, give them a call.
Thanks, Robert. Now to an update on a hit and run in Florissant. Tonight, a man is behind bars after police say he admitted to hitting a teen girl with his car and driving off. Hours ago, prosecutors charged Christopher Carnes with leaving the scene of an accident in the June 3rd crash. Investigators say he hit 15-year-old Turkia Jones on Lindbergh, leaving her with serious injuries. Jones's family tells 5 on Your Side she's now out of intensive care. Tonight, a 9-year-old boy is dead after he was hit by a vehicle this morning in O'Fallon, Missouri. Happened around 11:45 at the intersection of Harmony Lane and Vine Street. The victim was taken to the hospital but did not survive. Right now, he has not been identified. The driver remained on the scene and is cooperating in the investigation. Tonight, St. Charles County police are warning people not to swim in retention ponds after a man drowned in one this morning. It happened in the Walnut Creek subdivision between Weldon Spring and Cottleville. Police say the victim was identified as 44-year-old Darren Hudson, a man with special needs, entered the pond but did not resurface. Multiple people tried to jump in to save him but faced their own problems with the water.
And even the first responding officer, got here probably in like 60 seconds. He attempted to get in as well, but the silt and the depth just made it extremely hard.
Several no swimming signs are placed around the retention pond. One neighbor says the pond is about 25 feet deep and has a significant drop off. Now our weather first forecast. We're seeing a bit of relief tonight as humidity levels have dropped, but don't expect this trend to continue. Meteorologist Gary Frank is here with a first look at the steamy forecast.
I know. Good evening. It's not one of those nights where we're going to leave after here and go right outside, and it's 89 degrees and still extremely sticky But unfortunately, those nights are coming. So go outside and enjoy. Despite this cloud cover and rain off to our west, it's going to start to hit this heat dome of high pressure and dry air, and this all falls apart as it gets closer to us. However, temperatures in the city, mid to upper 70s. Outside of the city, you've fallen in the low 70s, and that's indicative of the fact that we have drier conditions, that less humid air in place. And I think tonight we're going to drop down in the low to mid 60s outside of the city, perhaps even some upper 50s. It's less humid. This is a real positive for us. But the key for us here down the road is the fact that we get one break on Saturday, but by Sunday and Monday, we start to turn our humidity levels up. And that's a big factor when we get even hotter, because that's when we start to see the heat index readings, the heat advisory, perhaps excessive heat warning, whatever it may be. That's when we start to turn those levels of heat up, where it's a little harder to deal with when it's still this warm at night, especially with our friends and neighbors without AC. We'll talk about our hottest days of the year so far and why we continue to add to them the next 7 to 10 days.
Tonight, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater is responding to some miscommunication during last night's Kenny Chesney concert. As the country music star took the stage, storms rolled into the area, bringing rain and lightning. The venue told fans to seek shelter, with some choosing to go to their vehicles. Fans tell 5 on Your Side security told them the show was canceled and to go home, but the concert resumed within an hour. Hollywood Casino says they are responding to everyone who has reached out regarding their experience. Continuing coverage of an investigation into former St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner. Missouri State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick confirms Gardner met with his staff Wednesday. Last month, he held a news conference saying Gardner was nowhere to be found. Fitzpatrick is auditing her time in office, saying he's found evidence of, quote, inappropriate expenditures and mismanagement. He says Gardner's office had either ignored or delayed several requests for information.
There's been a high level of interest in her tenure as circuit attorney and the things that led up to her resignation, as well as what was going on behind the scenes in her office during that time that she was there. This audit will give answers to a lot of those questions. And I think that is going to be information that people will want to know when it comes out.
Gardner resigned in June of last year over increasing criticism of her office's handling of crime in St. Louis. We reached out to the St. Louis Circuit Attorney's office. They tell us the office has no comment. Tonight, 2 former U-City officials are suing to block renovations at 2 historic buildings. This week, the City Council approved plans to renovate the Annex and Trinity buildings to become the new Police Department and City Courts building. Former Mayor Shelley Welsh and ex-councilman Stephen Kraft argue this violates a city charter provision requiring voter approval to lease, demolish, or dispose of historic buildings. They're asking the court to stop the city from entering the deal. Right now, the city of St. Charles is getting its chance in the limelight. It's setting the stage for a new coming-of-age film thanks to recent legislation. New tonight, Annie Krall explains how this 16-year-old story is helping open doors for the movie and TV industry in the Show Me State.
Calling St. Charles home for the next few days is Dot Marie Jones, applauded as Coach Shannon Beast on Glee.
For my character, from going through the domestic abuse to, 4 seasons later, becoming a trans man. So it was a ride. It was an emotional ride. I don't think I've ever cried as much as I did shooting those 5 years of working on Glee.
Filming for 3 weeks instead of 5 years, Jones said she's excited to tackle crucial topics in the Mercury film's coming-of-age story, Greg's Going to Rehab, a film drawing on St. Louis director Chris Lawing's decades-long journey with alcohol and sobriety, all shot at Lindenwood University and St. Charles High School.
And I always think it's super dope to be filming in on location, in real high schools, mainly because I never went to high school, so every time I walk around I'm like, ooh, are these real lockers? That's so cool.
Led by Connecticut native Cameron Mann, the incoming University of Michigan freshman had never been to Missouri.
I like when I go somewhere and a lot of the people are locals, because I get to talk to them about what it's like to live here. And they tell me where to go, what to see, and it's always a very fun time.
Back in 2013, Gone Girl was shot in Cape Girardeau, the last big-budget film using Missouri's former film incentive, making the city $7 million richer, according to the Visitors Bureau. while Up in the Air and Fever Pitch both use St. Louis as a backdrop. Greg's story won't be getting the new Missouri tax credit, but it has Brighton, Missouri cinematic spotlight, also starring Sailor Belle Curta, iconic in High School Musical, the series.
Not everyone might go to rehab, but I'm sure there's probably a lot of messages that can come out of that experience.
Yeah, I think one of the most important parts of this film is just like the healing process that each character goes through. I'm sure all of these experiences that we're like showing throughout the film have actually happened like in places like this in these high schools.
Reporting in St. Charles, Annie Crawl, 5 on your side.
Mercury Films is working with the local nonprofit Continuity to help with staffing more diverse crews. The shoot is expected to wrap on June 30th. No release date has been set.
The Supreme Court strikes down a Trump-era ban on bump stocks. The firearm accessory outlawed following the Las Vegas mass shooting. Tonight, new reaction from the Biden White House and Trump campaign on the controversial ruling. Whether you're celebrating Father's Day or a recent grad, there's plenty of hot deals this month. Tonight, we're tracking the products that can fetch you a bargain.
Believe it or not, it's not all that humid outside right now, and that trend continues tomorrow, but the humidity starts to build. Why that trend continues in the short term and how long we can expect this humidity to stick around.
Hours ago, the Supreme Court struck down a Trump-era ban on bump stocks. The High Court's conservative majority said the Trump administration didn't follow federal law when it banned the devices in 2017 following the deadly mass shooting at the Las Vegas Strip. Bump stocks allow semi-automatic rifles to fire more quickly, hundreds of rounds per minute. The Biden DOJ defended the ban in court. Tonight, the White House is calling on Congress to ban the device.
What the court did today is really rolling back what otherwise is important progress to be made to prevent gun violence in America.
The former president's campaign issued a statement saying the Supreme Court's decision should be respected. The Supreme Court's ruling does not impact a similar ban in Illinois. That's because the state legislature passed it. Well, you may be eligible for some extra money. Hours ago, the city of St. Louis reached a settlement with remote workers who paid the city's earnings tax during the pandemic. The settlement applies to non-city residents who have jobs in St. Louis but worked remotely between 2020 and 2022. A 90-day window to apply for a refund will open on July 1st. Attorneys believe more than 100,000 people may be impacted.
We are strongly encouraging the public to file for these refunds. I mean, it's money sitting on the ground for people to pick up.
The city will hold a news conference Monday to give reaction. For more information, look for this story in the As Seen on TV section of KSDK.com. Whether it's gearing up for a summer vacation or spending more time outdoors at home, Consumer Reports says June is a great time to cash in on deals, especially with Father's Day, graduation, and early 4th of July sales right around the corner. Here's Mike Bush.
June is a great month to save money on top-rated products handpicked by Consumer Reports experts. Here are a few favorites in this month's best time to buy.
The beginning of June can be a really good time to find sales. There are a lot of continuing Memorial Day deals on things like large appliances and mattresses.
To get a good night's sleep, the Avocado Green Mattress Queen is available for as low as $16.99.15 at Avocado. This is one of CR's top-rated innerspring mattresses, acing its durability tests. Father's Day is coming up on June 16th, so drill down your gift-giving ideas with, well, a drill. This DeWalt cordless drill is as low as $149 at Ace Hardware and Lowe's. And if Dad isn't particularly thrilled about doing more work around the house, consider getting him a new smartwatch. The Garmin Venue 2 Plus is as low as $299 at Amazon. And towards the end of the month, be on the lookout for early 4th of July sales.
The end of June tends to be when retailers will start their July 4th sales. That means you can get discounts on things like large appliances and grills especially, as well as anything else for your outdoor needs.
This electric pressure washer from Steel is as low as $139.99 at Acme Tools. Finally, pro tip, if you don't have to buy anything in June, you're probably better off waiting until next month.
Amazon has already announced that Prime Day is happening, and that means other retailers will have sales too. So everything is going to be on sale for much better prices in July than you'll find this month.
Stash some cash in June and CR will be back in a month with even more great bargains.
Consumer Reports says Amazon hasn't yet announced specific dates for Prime Day. Still, the online retailer confirmed that its savings event for Prime members will happen sometime next month. Today, we got a new look at the St. Louis Zoo's new Wild Care Park. Construction continues on the 425-acre site in Spanish Lake, with crews building barns and installing fencing. And when it opens in 2027, the Wild Care Park will be home to 250 animals and about 30 different species. Guests can experience up-close encounters with those animals. It's a hot day for those animals, meteorologist Gary Frank, and for us humans.
Yeah, I know. And it's, it's okay. It got in the 90s the third straight day. It's not all that bad. It's just like the first expected level of summer. And then we turn it up to 2 and maybe 3 notches the next 10 days. And that's where it gets more tough on us when we add that humidity. Right now with 91 degrees, that was our third day in a row of 90. That's going to be an important stat because, spoiler alert, every 10 days is at least 90 degrees, but it's the beyond part that gets more difficult. Our dew point's at 55. This is pretty good. And I know it doesn't mean much just by looking at it. I try to create this lower end thing here as we get up into sultry and nasty. That's where it's really difficult for us to cool off. But 50s as far as drier air, when the drier air is like this, that means our temperatures can cool that far down. So that's pretty nice. I think we're going to be less humid tonight as well. We'll still drop into the mid 60s, maybe even into the upper 50s in some outlying areas. So as we start off, 8 o'clock, 72. Okay, it's warm, but it's not 85 because that's going to happen at some point. 88 by noon, and then 94 by the afternoon. Like I mentioned, it's better. We got a southeast breeze at 10 miles an hour, low humidity. That is okay. It's hot, but there's probably 3-4 hours where you really need to make sure you're taking extra precaution. Now, our average first 100-degree day is July 19th. The earliest we've ever had is June 1st. And if we hit this tomorrow or on Sunday, that would be in the top 5 soonest that we've ever had. And I expect that we'll do that on Sunday. It's hot, it's humid. When you add the heat plus humidity, look at these numbers. Many of them are feeling like they're 100 or 100 plus just because the stickiness that's going to be involved, and we're going to turn that up a little bit. Why are we so hot? Well, we have this high pressure center that's in pretty much control of our weather. It usually keeps all the main storms to the north and the cold air. As the jet moves north, the jet stream, the main flow of everything. And this high builds over the northeast, and it's even hotter there. But what it does is also kind of bring up some of this moisture and keep all those storms moving way north everywhere. But also continues to build and also increases our humidity. And the only thing that we'll look at is the remnants of some Gulf moisture that gets sent up by Monday and Tuesday. And not only does it kind of stay there, but you see this plume that kind of comes in and brings some rain here into Louisiana. As that plume settles in Monday and Tuesday, it may be enough to send us a few scattered showers and storms, but otherwise it's really hot. 94 up to 100, and then we're going to see our temperatures fall in the mid-90s for a couple of days. It doesn't matter because it's still humid, like I just mentioned, but then we're back into 100-degree readings. And so there's no bona fide chance for rain here ahead, but it's just going to be really hot. And we'll add to our streak. 3 plus 10, that's 13. When you're talking about in the low to mid-20s, that's our record 90-degree streak. We won't get to that, but we could get to top 25, and it is hot already.
It feels kind of the same when it hits 95, 98.
It does. Yeah, the humidity. If we can get out of the humidity, then you start to talk about the desert, but we're not there.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Corey's here with sports.
Well, the Cardinals played a classic up at Wrigley Field today. One of our Chaminade alums was trying to win a title, and City SC is ready for a duel in Dallas. Sports is up next after the break.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
There is a very real chance that both the Stanley Cup and Larry O'Brien trophies will take a vacation to St. Louis this summer. One Chaminade kid, Matthew Tkachuk, can win it all on the ice tomorrow. The other, Jason Tatum, well, he could do it tonight on the court in Dallas. But it became very clear very early tonight in Dallas. Tonight was not the night for Tatum and the Celtics. The Mavericks were not getting swept. Luka Doncic, he went off for 29 points. Dallas held Tatum to just 15. The Mavs absolutely obliterate the Celtics 122-84 to force a Game 5 back in Boston on Monday.
Swing and a drive, hit high in the air toward left. Hep is back at the Ivy, and it's gone! A classic classic game at Wrigley Field between the Cardinals and the Cubs.
Now, of course, I love our own Busch Stadium with all my heart, but there is something special about Cardinals-Cubs at Wrigley Field. It feels like anything can happen. And today added another memorable chapter to this classic rivalry. Well, they call it the Windy City, and it lived up to that name today. Look at those flags. Remember that win. Kyle Gibson was in control for the Cards. 7 innings, 2 hits, 6 strikeouts, no runs. Some great defense behind him as well. Nolan Gorman, jump throw. He's out. Scoreless game in the 7th. Top 8 now, tie game at Wrigley, and what a place for your first career home run. Pedro Pajes just sneaks it over the wall. What a moment, 1-0 Cards. His parents were in attendance. Cubs threaten to tie it in the bottom half, but here comes Gorman's defense again. He's out at home. Later in that same inning, Patrick Wisdom tees off. Looks like a 2-1 lead for the Cubs, but remember that wind? He's out. The ball was hit 111 miles per hour, had a .970 expected batting average. Not today, though. Cards got a couple insurance runs, and Ryan Helsley saved his MLB-leading 23rd game for a 3-0 winner. The Cards conquered the Cubs and the win, and they're back to 500 on the season.
The wind was crazy. I hit it pretty well. I was hoping it did, and it got snuck right out.
That ball's hammered. No, I appreciated the win today.
You know, there's a lot to like here. You know, I don't know how much time we have, obviously, but you know, this group's been a really fun group. You know, it's a group that didn't get too down on ourselves early. You know, I think that's something that this group does really well. You know, we try to make sure we stay together.
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
City SC heads down to Dallas tomorrow, looking to finally break back into the win column. It has been over a month since they won a game. Dallas has had a rough go this year, and they are 4 points behind City in the standings. This past week, they fired their coach, and City knows that could lead to a fired-up opponent.
You almost forget the X's and O's and the tactical match plan, because they're going to come with a bump, and energy and a renewed belief. And yeah, we're going to have to expect a buzz in the Dallas outfit. You know, we're going to have to expect the best, and of which we've played some really good teams, and I think we've adequately prepared for.
Yesterday, we found out Alexander Steen is the GM in training for the St. Louis Blues. That'll happen in 2 years. But for the past year, he's been a development consultant, working mostly with the Blues' European prospects. There are exciting names in that group, like Dalibor Dvorsky, Theo Lindstein, and Otto Stenberg. I asked Steen about this talented crop coming through.
The biggest thing, I think, is the hunger these guys have and the excitement that they have. Dedication. They're all dedicated and hardworking kids. I would say the one thing I'm probably most proud of those kids for this year was the resiliency they showed throughout some difficult times, and you know, that shows the character of them.
Round 2 at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst, Ludwig Oberg leads the field at 5 under. But I have to talk about the shot of the day. Francesco Molinari has to make a hole-in-one on his final hole of the day to make the cut for the weekend. I think you know where this is going. He sinks it. A walk-off ace to make the weekend. Don't think I've ever seen that before. Here's hoping we get some more fireworks the next 2 days. Right here on 5 on Your Side as the U.S. Open wraps up.
Beautiful shot. All right, thanks, Corey. A celebration of pride in St. Charles. What you can expect at this year's Pride Fest at the Family Arena. Tomorrow, the city of St. Charles will hold its Pride Festival. It's taking place at the Family Arena from noon to 7. Pride Fest kicks off with a doggy drag show. There will also be food, live entertainment, and dozens of local vendors. And hours ago, a St. Louis County bar and grill celebrated our nation's flag. The Blarney Stone hosted the Flag Day event featuring the Budweiser Clydesdales. A portion of Budweiser and Bud Light sales were also donated to the Folds of Honor. All right, so stay cool.
Stay cool, mix in some water in those beverages, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of hundreds. 74 in the morning, that's okay, but that's our climb up. I mean, look when we drop down to 78 or 79. I mean, the problem with that is the fact that that happens for like 5 minutes at 5:55 in the morning, and then it's 87 at 8 o'clock, and then you got, you know, friends and neighbors without AC, pets. It's tough on your body to be out there, so we got to check in. That's the time of the year that we're in, and we're going to steady diet of it.
Check on your elderly neighbors,
Heat
too.
Exhaustion.
All right, thanks so much for joining us. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next. And be sure to start your Saturday morning with the Today in St. Louis Weekend Crew that starts at 6 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.